Legendary, a real journalist. There's not many of them out there. Matt Taibbi, we're killing the game. Rescue the Republic. Matt, I admire what you did. Twitter files. What do you think with the trajectory is going, with the election coming? If Kamala Harris was to get into office, do you think we have to worry about America losing what it's known for, free speech?
Absolutely. We've already seen speech rights have declined precipitously even in the last 4 years. And we continually hear people from the Democratic Party say things that tell us that they don't really believe in free speech. John Kerry, again, that was in my speech just the other day. He said the First Amendment is a major roadblock to hammering out disinformation, or hammering it out of existence, he said. I think one of the main things that we found in the Twitter files is that the political consensus in this country does not like the American speech law. They prefer the European model, which has a very critical difference from ours. Their speech rights flow from the government. Here they're inherent, and that makes it much harder to suppress information or censor, and they want to change that.
It's unfortunate. I mean, the mainstream media, most people get their news from there. Why do you think there's no journalists that have any 1% of the courage you have to maybe get out and actually speak the real truth?
It's an incredible mystery to me. Journalists it's a profession for people who couldn't get into med school and weren't smart enough to be hired by a big bank. The only qualification for this job is to have the stones to print something that's unpopular or to go up against the government. And if you don't have courage, then there's no reason to be in journalism. I mean, if you're going to sell out, at least sell out for a lot. That's what I don't understand about this current crop of journalists. They're selling their souls for a little tiny bit. And I was a student in the Soviet Union. I knew a lot of reporters who worked in the Soviet press. They had to. They were forced to. They have an excuse. The people now who just enforce consensus points of view, I don't know what their motivation is. Can you imagine Cy Hirsch being like these people? There's no way. That's the main qualification for a reporter is being difficult and being willing to challenge authority.
I really hope. I mean, it's cool what Elon did with Twitter. He saved free speech. I don't know what would happen. I mean, things were getting censored before he bought it. Journalists are working for, like you said, whatever, peanuts, and they're working for the overlords. They're not really doing real news. There's people like yourself. It's really interesting, man, how this is happening.
Yeah,
Where would we be if Elon didn't purchase Twitter?
Well, I think, him releasing the Twitter files was kind of like a 1 in a million thing, right? You never have the head of a major corporation just sort of opening the vault so that people can see what was going on. And so even though Elon and I have our differences, I'll always be grateful to him for doing that. And we got a peek, which is rare. We got a peek into how things really work. And I think the documents that we saw, and by the way, are continuing to have an impact. And there are cases like Berenson v. Biden where there's new stuff still coming out. I think it showed some people how the whole thing really works, which I think is very valuable.
Department of Government Efficiency, Elon Musk. If we have integrity in the election, that'd be a good thing. Do you own any Dogecoin?
I don't own any Dogecoin. I don't know about the Department of Government Efficiency. I don't know. Maybe. I'm not a politician. I can tell you what happened as opposed to what might happen. That's less my area of expertise.
Well, bro, listen, last thing. I would say someone like yourself who is so courageous, do you ever have death threats? Do you ever feel like maybe, do you ever have any fear in you that someone may try to take you out?
So, as I've said to some other folks, I was in Russia in the late 90s and early 2000s when freedom of speech sort of disappeared in Russia, and I had a lot of Russian colleagues who risked their lives every time they published anything, and a few of them got murdered. I knew some of those folks, and so I'm always very hesitant to talk about the risks here in the United States being anything like what journalists go through in other countries. I will say, I've gone through some weird stuff in the last couple of years. Not anything remotely like what they dealt with or what Julian Assange dealt with, for instance. But it's now, I would say, officially a consideration when you do journalism. You do have to worry about some kind of consequence other than being sued.
Matt Taibbi did not kill himself. Matt, thank you. You're amazing. I love you, bro. Appreciate you.